There's really no need for an introduction today. It's pretty simple. And it's a gesture, not words. Carson, you want to do it with me? Yep. Safe trip home, Louisville fans, to that city. Hope you have fun up there. But Kentucky takes down Louisville in a game that was, Louisville hung around now. Once again, we'll give credit to them. Obviously, they lost, and that sucks for them. But they played well, hung around. Fun basketball game. What a rivalry game should look like. We're going to talk about the Lamont Butler game, and we'll have that conversation on today's episode of the Wildcats Today podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak, writer over at Kentucky Wildcats on SI, joined by Carson Nash, who, of course, I was at the game up in the press box, and Carson was down in his seats right behind the eruption zone. And I wasn't even really watching the game. I was just watching Carson and Jake's reactions. So thank you, Carson, for bringing me a lot of joy watching that happen.
Yeah, no worries. I was really, of course, you can probably tell by my voice right now, I'm a little under the weather. Even during the game, I wasn't feeling so hot, but I gave it my all, and that's probably why I'm not feeling so great still on Tuesday. So It's been a little brutal, but definitely brought the energy for that one, and the Cats brought it as well.
Yeah. No, Jake and Carson Nash they were living it up. There were a lot of L's down. I would watch we could get a big basket, and then I just turn over and let y'all just be fist bumping random people. It was awesome. It was great. It was just a thoroughly enjoyable experience for me. But Carson, Lamont Butler, is he going to play? He played. He did in fact make an appearance. He had a pretty good game. He not terrible. When you go 10-10 from the field, there's nothing you can really complain about. I guess that's an okay game. Yeah, Lamont Butler, holy crap. What he did in that game, you don't win that game without Lamont Butler. 33 points, doesn't miss a shot, absolutely dominant performance. And he cements himself, Carson, up there with some of the legends of this game. And that's just really cool to see for someone who is the kind of spirit animal of this team and leader. That's really cool. So what did you think about the game overall, Carson, and about Lamont's performance?
Yeah, well, I'll piggyback off of what you just said about Lamont. That is genuinely one of the best performances I've ever witnessed. I know it should be in the record books. He made 10 shots, didn't miss one. Well, he was funny after the game because someone asked, how did you make 10 shots, 6 threes, but missed 3 foul shots? Yeah. And he was like, he's like, I need to work on that. But
he missed 5
foul shots. My bad.
That was crazy to me. That's just 5. Dang.
But when you're so efficient, during the game, but then miss your freebies, you got to kind of wonder what was going on there. But he said he's working on getting that fixed. But it takes me back to the Edwards game, right, from last year where he hit 10 shots against Alabama. And, you're right. If we didn't have Lamont on Saturday, you probably don't win that game.
No, you don't. No, you do not win that game. I feel very confident saying that. It just everybody in this game, I just thought showed up and did a lot well. Everybody that needed – and this is funny. Ortega, right? I found this so funny because it was what we said about Reeves last year. I think Ortega missed a layup at one point or missed a shot, and I kind of was like, man, Ortega's kind of playing bad. And then I went to write my postgame article, and I pulled up the stat sheet and went, he had 15 points on 7 of 11 shooting. What? Are you really? That was my reaction.
Said that about last game too. I swear you said the exact same thing.
But this time it was even crazier because I genuinely in my head was like, man, Ortega didn't have this big kind of card killer game that I thought he was gonna have, and I went, well, 7 of 11 for 15 points will get the job done.
Well, I will say he did kind of go on his own sort of run at the end of the game.
Yeah, he did. He did. Yeah, and
that kind of was where he got a bunch of his scoring. He took over at the very end of the game, which was awesome to see.
Yeah. We turned the ball over 11 times compared to Louisville, who turned the ball over 7 times. So we lost the turnover battle in this game. But once again, I'd rather win, who scores the most points. I think that's what they count as a win or loss. So
yeah, but we had
I'd be
23 assists to our turnovers. They only had 8.
exactly. Oh no, there's a big difference. There's a big difference. And so there is a conversation we have to have that's an interesting one. We saw a lot of Brandon Garrison and not a lot of Amari Williams. And he only had one personal foul. So this was a coach wanted BG out there. And Amari, 2 of 4 from the field, 2 of 4 from the free throw line, 8 boards, 4 assists, 1 steal. Carson, what would you personally attribute that to?
I'm not entirely sure, but some things that I kind of saw, he plays defense with his hands down sometimes. And I'm not sure why he does that, because it gives the opponents an extra little second to get off a shot. And so maybe a couple of those things attributes it to that, but I'm not entirely sure why he didn't play as much. If you look at it, he had 4 assists, no turnovers.
And BG had 3 turnovers.
Points. Yeah. So maybe it was a fight type of thing, because BG was bringing the hustle the whole game.
That's what I was getting ready to talk about.
He was bringing the fire, so it could be that. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure what that's attributing to.
BG just kind of feels like a rivalry guy to me. You know what I mean? That's what he feels like, a rivalry guy to me. And
he's my type of guy too. He's my type of guy. He gets that we score and then he fake hits Chucky in the head. He meant to do that. But I love it. It. Good. Hit him in the head. Good. It's rivalry. But that kind of stuff. I like it because they were doing that all game. Waterman was the biggest punk on the court.
I can't believe that. We were talking about that on the phone because he was a Pope guy. I don't get now Louisville fan.
But you know Pope as well as I do. He loves to play with fire, and so when you love to play with fire, your players are going to embody that.
To me, there's a difference, and I saw Kentucky fans whining a bit about it a little bit as well. So I'm not, because Waterman was a punk, but Brandon did some stuff that's kind of punky too. It's a rivalry game. Don't about
I like it.
Stuff. Don't go. Well, he pushed him. Okay. It's just I just think that's a soft. I'm not saying throw haymakers and you know what I mean and scissor kick somebody. I'm not saying any of that. But if there's a little bit of a pushing and that's basketball. It's what it is.
Not to say, Brandon Garrison, whenever the whole brush up over by Louisville's bench happened, he got pushed in the back. He fully got pushed in the back into their bench.
And I saw the video. He did a little. He did a little extracurricular. They were doing extracurricular. It was nothing crazy.
No.
I just think the whole he's punk. He's a punk. Punks are good. Punks are fun. Who's a punk? It's Brandon Garrison and Kirk Reesa. They're punks, and I love them.
And it's good for the rivalry.
Way.
Pat Kelsey and Mark Pope talked about that after the game, and they're like, "It was good. It's good. No harm, no foul. There was no actual."
Yeah, exactly.
harm.
It's same. Pat Kelsey said the same thing. And so that's why I don't get what people are griping so much. It's part of.
I like it.
I love it.
I think Louisville fans should like it. I think we should like it. I think it makes the rivalry.
And we're saying that we don't love fist fights. We're not.
No.
We're talking about a little pushing and shoving, a little bit of fire, a little bit of extra pushing, trying to get in the paint, or we like that. That is we are fans of that because it's what competing is about. Anyone that's competed before knows that you got a little fire when you're playing your rival.
Not to mention, whenever that whole Bush skirmish happened, or bench skirmish, the Rupp went crazy after that. That kind of flipped the switch. It made it way more energized in there, and it ultimately led to a win. So I love that kind of stuff.
But that's what I'm saying, because Brandon Garrison, I've met him. Met him once, not in a media setting, and then we can ask Cameron Coulter about that. And then other times in media settings, he's a good dude, man. You can. There's a difference in being in a rivalry game, have that fire under you, and then being just a bad person. Brandon Garrison's a great guy. I don't know Waterman personally, but I know of Coach Pope. He was on his team. I bet he's a good dude off the basketball court. I don't know him, but that's just my gut feeling. there's people you can tell are just punks off the court.
Yeah,
too.
Pope even like fake punched Waterman, and like some of the Louisville fans honestly thought it was like real because they didn't know that Waterman had played for Mark Pope, so it was like a play fight situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was no harm, no foul. No one really got injured or into it seriously.
No, I loved it. It's good for basketball. So Kentucky fans and Louisville fans, get off Twitter and griping and saying, well, they put who that's great. It's fun. It's part of the sport we love, is my take on it. As long as it doesn't get crazy, and that wasn't crazy. Both coaches agreed. So that's my thoughts on that little skirmish. But I love it. Got me fired up. I hate not being able to get fired up in the press box. I have to act like I have some sense about me, which is the other reason I enjoy watching you, because I live through that. I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard for me not to be in that situation. I love it too much.
Yeah, but yeah, you're more than welcome to do that. You're in your seats having a good time, drinking some Sprites. Heck yeah, do that. But another game where Ortega had 17. I lied. Exactly 17. Seriously, dude.
Full on took over the end of the game. He absolutely shut the end of the game down.
Yeah, that and one was awesome. That was one where it was hard. I was in my chair.
And how about that 3-point shot that he had the balls? Well, I don't know if I should say that, but he had the nads
and then you rebound with that. All right,
to hoist it up.
Yeah.
But that was really a tough situation, though. Because it was the end of the game. Louisville would have had a chance to come back had he missed that, because there was 27 seconds on the shot clock left. So him making that was huge, but also a big shot by him to even begin to take that.
Yeah, he's so darn good. I saw an NBA mock draft today and it was more of a big board than a mock draft. And there were 100 and 50 names on this list. Robinson, Brea, all included. No name. Ortega always not listed. How in the world? Knowing he is a junior, it's not like he's a fifth-year senior. He's a junior. He's probably 20 years old?
Yeah.
Maybe 20, probably 20 years old. How in the world is he not an NBA someone? Now, I agree. Now, he's got to start shooting the ball better from deep. But that athleticism, if he adds 5% as three-point shooter, he's going to be a force at the next level. Now, I would love, can you imagine if we have Ortega Owe coming back next year? Can you think about that just for a second?
No,
returning
ridiculous.
A player like that. The last time we had that was Big O, and besides that, everyone else stunk. So not everybody, but you get what I'm saying. The team wasn't great. Not a great chemistry.
I'd go even farther to say that he's more of a Terrence Jones than a not type of player, but an explosive. Oscar the problem with Oscar was you had to play through him, and he didn't really pass at all. So it was really one-dimensional when you had Oscar. Terrence Jones was just like a unicorn.
Yeah. Yeah. But I love this team. First of all, this game being a little tight, it's just a good thing. I want this rivalry to be good. It's not fun when you go up to the Yuck Center and you beat them by 32 points. That's not fun. I mean, you know what I mean? It's fun. It's fun, obviously, to beat them. I think we won 9 of the last 11 or 8 of the last 10 or something like that. It's pure domination.
It's now 40-17 officially.
Well, there you go. You're almost halfway there, guys. Keep fighting. But this is what this rivalry.
Okay, I got a fun question to ask
Let's
you.
hear it.
Do they get to 20 before we get to 50?
That's a really hard question. That means we would have to go 10-2 or better.
Mm-hmm.
I think this thing's going to tighten up. I think Pat Kelsey's a good coach. I'm going to say no, and other people can gripe me. I still think we're in the next 10, we can win 7, maybe 8. But I think that Pat Kelsey's doing a good job. His team's banged up, and I think he's going to keep recruiting. I think that this is going to get back to being a good rivalry where we are the better program and the better team, but it's 7-3, 8-2, 6-4 instead of 10-0, 9-1. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I'm going to say no, and I know you're going to say yes to this, and I respect that. But that's my take on it. So let me guess. Is a yes for you?
Yeah, it's a yes for me. And the only reason that is because this is the least talented Mark Pope team that we'll have.
That is true. That's a really good point.
So, I mean, you're going to have kids coming in that are super studs playing in this offense, and so I don't see Louisville like I don't know. It's hard to say because I do like Kelsey. I think he's a good coach, and I actually like him as a person.
I do too. He was a little gripey the other day. He kind of irked me on the court, but I like him. He's a good dude. He was a little gripey.
Yeah, and I mean he means well. He's a good person.
He's a good dude. I kind of hate. I think it was either Mike or Cameron. I can't remember. It was Cameron, and he was like, "I just like he's really nice.
I know.
I hate it.
I know. I hate it.
I want to hate him, but I can't hate him."
Yeah, and I feel like they're probably having the same issue with us because
exactly. I want to hate Mark Pope, but it's hard to hate Mark Pope.
Yeah,
right about that.
But so I think talent wise, I think we'll be able to finish them off. I don't know. Especially the way their fans are perceiving the rivalry now. Like they looked at Saturday and took that as a win, and that's kind of sad in my opinion. Because, I mean, you go and you lose by 8, and you probably should have lost by more.
The rivalries, to me, Carson, I think that they're always going to be a little tighter than they should be, just because that's what this is. You know what I mean? That's what this is.
Oh, no, yeah. You called it on our last pod. You said the game would go exactly the way the game did go.
Yeah.
And you were right. They played up because of a rivalry, and I thought they wouldn't. But, again, they only had 8 assists. Yeah. That's horrible. That's pretty awful. 8 assists, 7 turnovers. Yeah. They were pretty much getting all their offense from ISO 3-pointers. And so that
they shot 40 of them. They shot 39.
So that combined with once they started going in, we played up on defense a little more, so they got biased, and that's why it looked like they were getting a lot more easy buckets because when threes are falling, it does open up the offense a lot more.
Yeah.
But, I just feel like Louisville played a lot better than they normally do. So I'd say even a win by 8 here makes me excited because I thought they played probably the best they could play, and we still won by 8.
Yeah, no, but in credit to them, credit to Louisville. They showed up in a big-time game. And I respect their player. I mean, I thought that Terrence Edwards kid, he gave some really good answers. In the
Edwards and Hepburn were awesome.
They played great. Yeah, now once again, I'd take 10 of 10 for 33 over 9 of 18 for 26, but that's not for me to discuss. So, I mean, and then Andrew Carr, once again, I mean, he just keeps doing things well for us. Another game, he's going to give you 10, 12, 14, 15 points every game, and then he's going to have his occasional 17s. He'll get a 20 bomb this year, I promise you that. But, I mean, 10 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. Doesn't turn the ball over, gets a steal, gets 2 blocks. You know what I also saw out of Andrew Carr that got me fired up? Waterman was being a punk. And when we say punk, we like that. And then Carr was giving it back to him. Carr's a great person. He's like the nicest person ever. And he's like, he gives off the gentle giant vibes. Yeah. If you kind of are around him.
Oh no, yeah. Andrew Carr is very, very nice.
But but then in this game, he was pushing back a little bit. And I love that because you need that because some people might go, Andrew Carr's a great dude, be physical with him. And he's put on tape now.
Well, and also
I'll be physical right back.
There's a thing to be said about a gentle giant, right? Off the court, you're the nicest human being ever, but on the court, who cares? You're on the court. Like it's different.
Exactly. And that's
like you got in a altercation at the YMCA the other night.
Altercation at the YMCA the other day. That did happen. That did happen. That was
he left it all out on the court.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no kidding. At the YMCA. Yeah, I'll go toe-to-toe with anybody at the YMCA. You step on that court, you're liable to catch an elbow.
Hey, boom. I had to avenge you. I did the game winner after your altercation.
Yeah, you did. And then I hit a James Draws on him. But so I mean, any other players you want to? I think we talked about the Williams Garrison thing. To me, it's interesting because I don't know I don't know how you can. And once again, we were both at this game. I've watched the highlights of this game and more times than I would care to tell people because it's probably a little embarrassing, but it brings me tons of joy. But Amari Williams did not play bad. Like, you know what I mean? And I agree with you on the defensive stuff. I agree with you on all that. But that's why it's interesting to me.
Well, I also think there's part of it where, like, go dunk the ball. Like, why doesn't he just go dunk the ball? He's 7'1". He's the best athlete on the court by a mile.
He does do a lot of this.
Just go dunk the ball.
Up and I agree with you on some of it because there's times where the whole finesse stuff is great, and there's times where it's like, all right, just dunk it. Rupp Arena dunk.
If I looked like Amari Williams, I would dunk everything.
Yes, and I would hang on the rim for a while, as Lamont Butler's rap song says. But so that's it. That's going to be something to monitor over the next couple of games. And you and I said at some points in the season, Carson, in the offseason, we're like, I don't think it would be the most insane, surprising thing in the world if BG kind of took over. I don't think it's going to happen. But I think there's going to be games where BG is the guy in game for Amari.
Should happen.
No, exactly. That's not what I'm saying either. What I'm saying is no one should be surprised with what BG's done this year. So now, do you want to hear an interesting stat? I wrote an article about this yesterday, Carson.
Yeah.
Amari Williams accounts for 24% of our turnovers in the season. He has turned the ball over 24 times, ironically, on here. Hold on. Let me actually give you the exact number. I wrote it down yesterday because I think I lied to myself. 22.5% of the turnovers he accounts for. He's turned the ball over 24 or 24 of our 107 turnovers compared to Butler, who's our PG1. And I get it. Yes, our offense is different. We run things through him.
I was going to say how many we initiate our offense through Butler or not Butler through
Williams.
Amari.
I agree. But a lot of his turnovers are clean-upable things to me. And that was my argument was, turnovers are going to happen when you're, the main guy. Now, so like Butler, for example, he missed 2 games, but he's turned the ball over 13 times. If he plays those 2 games, turns it over twice, and both of them, it's 17 compared to 24. So Butler only accounts for 12% of our turnovers.
That's the weird part to me, though, because in this game, he had no turnovers.
Yeah.
And BG had the turnovers.
Yeah.
So it was a little strange to me because, if Amari's out there turning the ball over a lot, you got to take him out. But both Amari and BG are ranked in Torvik's top passers analytically. They're both on the list. But
I found this interesting. It wasn't Torvik. It was Evan Mayakawa, dude, who's awesome.
Maya?
Is that? Well, no, that's
Maya? Evan Maya.
That's the website name, but his actual last name is Mayakawa.
Okay.
Man, I'm stuffed up. But on here, Amari Williams is the 19th best passer in big man passer, and Brandon Garrison 17. Number 1 is Robbie Avila, our goat, or our goat, soon to be Baby Jokic.
Yes.
But, so they've done a lot. Well, like Amari Williams did a couple great passes in that game. I remember, and then he does his little, and I love that. That's great. I like to do that too. But I just think what I'm saying is, and it was something we griped about Carson when we picked up Kerr in the portal, was he is liable to try to make too good of a play and turn the ball over. And that's what Amari does. And I think in this offense, there's no reason to try and make too good of a play. Something will come open.
I feel like 2 of our players do that a lot. I feel like
I agree.
Him, and I feel like Jackson Robinson does that a good amount too, where he just makes a silly turnover. Not one that's like just one that could be cleaned up.
Yes.
Like one that there's no need for that at that time.
And that's the whole argument is, as I think that a lot of it can be cleaned up just by not trying to make the spectacular pass. And there's some spectacular passes that are easier than you think that Amari makes. But then there's some where it's like you got to go between this defender and this defender to get it to him for a chance at a layup. Like there's no need for those. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of my argument there. But that's going to be something interesting to monitor. Obviously, Amari's our guy still, and he's going to be our starter. But do the minutes maybe come closer? It's going to be something. It's going to be an interesting thing to pay attention to here.
What were your thoughts on Edwards' post games comments?
About the Rupp Arena environment, just how
Mhm.
great it was. I think that's great, and I
Yeah.
think fans that go to games that are listening or watching on TV, they can hear you through the TV. That's a proven fact. But for those in Rupp Arena, whether it's for one game, whether it's for every game, you make an impact on the game, and people need to understand that. Be loud, cheer. Don't be a stranger.
Stand up.
Well, yes, but you can't. I mean, you can't be that guy. You know what I mean? You can't be
Well, I mean, what do you
your
think
section
about that
stands up, though.
situation?
I've noticed that your section stands up for the most part. Most of your
Well,
so it's fine for you.
Who sits in the front of our section?
Well, that's a good point. It's the student section, so they have to stand. Touche, good point. But what I'm saying is, stand. I don't. You can be loud and sit down.
Well, I agree, but like, what about did you see the story where the kid, I don't think he's a kid, the young adult got told to sit down, and the cop had to come tell him that if he doesn't sit down, he's going to get removed.
And where was this at? Like, where in
the middle section, like the middle, like basically half mid-court.
It's a tough debate. Because there are some older people, and you can be frustrated by that. But at the end of the day,
here's the thing: he asked the people behind him. He asked the people behind him if he could stand up, and they said yes. It was people from a couple rows up that were the ones complaining about him.
Well, why would the people behind him? Then how would they see? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. I've seen what you're talking about. The issue to me is that it's a courtesy to others type of thing. You know what I mean? There's some older people that maybe can't stand up.
But I get it. If there's older people behind you, yes, that's a completely different thing. Or a younger kid, right? Like that sort of thing. But if it's just people your age behind you or like a little bit older that can stand, Rupp Arena gets knocked for not being a good environment all the time. I think we should freaking stand. I
don't disagree with you.
We have the best arena of all time. We should stand.
The issue for me is this is actually a fun, like this we should really like deep dive and have an off-season show about this. It'd be kind of fun. But like I can talk about this for a while because I'm coming from it from a different perspective of it'll never happen. You know what I mean? It won't ever happen because there are, and you have to be courteous to those folks that don't want to stand because at the end of the day, it's their right. Now now we're getting into the law, but I mean,
but when you say it's their right to stand,
so exactly. So it's one of those, like, it's just a really tough. I would like to see the rules. Like, are there rules?
Technically, the blue coats can't do anything about it. Like, they cannot eject you for standing up. They can say they can, but they cannot.
Did you see the one blue coat getting dancing?
Yes, he's the best. He's been on there multiple times this year. The dude with the glasses.
Yeah, I know. He sits right kind of near the press box. I got to watch
he is awesome.
He's right behind you, directly behind you is where he is. He's But so that's an interesting, like, it's a tough debate. Let us know in the comments because I mean there are some older people that struggle to stand, but they're Kentucky fans and they want to go to the game and they want to be loud, but they can't stand up. And it's a tough. To me, it's a tough, and maybe I sound like an old head right now, and if I do, I apologize. But it's a tough topic. I mean, at the I wish
I think it could be judged situationally. You know, like I feel like
but it creates a snowball effect of people standing up. So like if these people stand up and there's a clump here, then maybe these people can't see and they can't stand up because they have a bad hip or a bad knee or whatever. And you know, so I agree with you that like one of the best environments that I've seen, and it's different because this is Rupp Arena where you got how is it 27,000? What's our capacity?
Well, now it's down to I think it's 20,500. I think now. I think is the max.
Really? Oh, I don't know why I thought it was but so I think Auburn, I was there last year for the Kentucky game. They do a smart thing. And now their capacity is like 4,000 people. So it's very different. But the entire length of the court down low is the student section. And then the other areas are where some, older people sit. And then you can have your student section in people's ear. It's like Cameron Indoor. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
I think that's a way to go the issue is with Rupp Arena is it's also hard to get students down there. It's hard with it not being on campus. I mean, I've seen a real disappointing eruption zone many times.
Yeah, I have too. And honestly, shout out to the students this year because I don't think we've had one. And
no, I agree. But last year, there were some last year.
Well, yeah, but I think that had just frustration built over, like that sort of thing. This is a new era. I think Pope wants BBN is involved as much as possible, and I don't think it was that way with the previous administrators.
So the Rupp Arena atmosphere is interesting. Leave a comment like, how would you fix it? Because for me, I'm sure there's a way. We will have a show about this. This would be a fun, real conversation to have. Because
which way I'm swinging.
Well, I know the way you're swinging. I just don't know if a way that you could do it. And that's what would be our show is how could we could both brainstorm a plan to be fun. We'll do that this offseason. But let us know in the comments but the point is Rupp Arena can make a difference in games.
No, it can. And think about the best. Think about the best experiences of being like a Kentucky fan. For me, it's like going to Atlanta like we did last year or going to the Nash SEC tournament. Like that's where the Kentucky fans are the most wild because one, it's kind of like a vacation for them anyways because they're getting away. And two, they're drinking Sprites. Three,
you get Kentucky
they're standing up. They're getting rowdy. It just seems more energetic because it's not the normal Kentucky fan that goes to those type of games. And I would like to see Rupp kind of get into that category just because I think Rupp does tend to mess with teams, and I think it could mess with them a whole lot more than it does right now.
I had a player, one of my a player from an SEC school, one of my old boss in the media is a guy that does a lot of Auburn stuff, and he told me the thing about Rupp Arena that he used to have he's a guy that hosts the Locked On Auburn show. He's my old boss, if anyone's ever heard of that, of the Locked On Network. And he one of Auburn's old players, I guess, told him that for Rupp Arena, it's not really the noise. It's the walking kind of out and you look up and it's oh my gosh, that, if that's what's intimidating about Rupp Arena from a player that's played there. I've heard that.
Did you see the kid from Wright State that we played this year? He made a TikTok. If y'all haven't seen it, I'd go watch it. He talked about him playing the first time in Rupp Arena, and because there's been a bunch of lists out recently that haven't had Rupp as a top 5 place to play, and he kind of debunked that whole thing. He was like, Rupp was the scariest place I've ever played at in my life. So it was pretty cool. I don't remember his name. I'll have to go comment it later. But
that'd be great.
It's a really cool video.
Interesting. But I'd like to see that too. But I mean, because the media where we walk out to be able to go take video before games and stuff is where the opposing teams walk out. And I still, every time I do that, it's you're just in awe of and I've never gotten to do it when it's full, people yelling. It's normally pre-game when people are still filling in seats, but it's just special. It's a cool thing to get to see. And that's why I get what they're saying. You walk out this, you go, my goodness, you look and the seats are here and and it's just, you're like an ant compared to these seats. And it's, because I've sat in the nosebleeds of Rupp Arena before when the people look really small and then you're down there and you look up and you're like, man, it's something else. It really is. So Carson, man, we've gone off on a full-on tangent today, which is great. But any other thoughts on the Louisville game? I mean, we pretty much talked about how everyone played, and I think we broke it down well. But any other thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I mean, Lamont's performance is going to go down in history. He reminds me a lot of Tyler Eulis. I don't know. He's just a killer, man. He's got that dog. There's only a couple players like that have that in them. He is one of them.
Yeah.
And so that performance was so impressive. And then my last thought was, how funny was it, that picture that came out that looked like, I don't think he actually did. I think he just had his arm around him. But Pope, it looked like he had a chokehold on Pat Kelsey. And he's like,
have you seen the video of that? Like the actual video?
No.
Dude, that was in the middle of the
I know. It was during the bench. Yeah.
Dude, it was awesome. No, he wasn't doing anything wrong. I think he was trying to get to his guy and Kelsey in the middle. And which is funny because Pat Kelsey, no offense to the short kings out there, but is 5'9", I believe.
Yeah, he's a little guy.
And Mark Pope is 6'10", so it's very funny.
Yeah.
Seeing that. But
I thought it was hilarious. It was also cool that Pope was the first guy over there. He ran over there.
Yeah, I love seeing that because he'll go to war for his players. I love that. Mark Pope is the perfect person to be the head coach of the Kentucky basketball program. I love Mark Pope. I mean, he is you can't not love the guy. He is just incredible. I mean, like little things like that. I mean, like
he's the definition of a Kentucky Wildcat. Is what he is.
Exactly, because he embodies everything that I think this state and this university stands for, which is just being a good person, being there for others, being a leader. It's just I respect the heck out of Mark Pope, and I'm really
he does it the right way. And
one thing I'll tell you, maybe this doesn't work out his tenure, maybe it doesn't. Man, I'm praying it does, but let's say it doesn't. Mark Pope's a great guy, and it, I'm just saying. So like, he's no one's gonna be like, to hell with it might not go well, and fans maybe will say we need a new coach, but people will always love Mark Pope.
I have a good feeling we'll end up on the right side of history.
I do too. No, I 100% do too. I'm just saying he's that type of person that even if it didn't go well, I don't think Kentucky fans would come at him with
100%. No, he's one of our own.
Yeah. So no kidding. I am with you on that, but I'm really just fired up at the direction of the program. And I'm excited to see kind of what happens with it and stuff like that. So, because it's moving in a darn good direction right now in recruiting, which, by the way, I can't wait to see what happens with Wilson. I kind of forgot he existed.
Yeah, I mean, Wilson's been kind of holding on for a little bit. I mean, to be fair, this is exactly what he said was going to happen, late December, early January announcement. So he's been quiet. Not to say that's a bad thing. There just hasn't been any smoke, any direction. So I still feel really strongly about where Kentucky stands with him.
No question. No kidding. On Thursday or Friday, we'll decide what day you want to put the Ohio State up. Do you want to do it? Want to put it up Friday or Thursday?
We'll do it Thursday. That's fine.
Okay. On Thursday, we will have a Ohio State preview. They just got, just punched in the face by Auburn. So they're going to be pissed off, and Kentucky needs to be ready to play. So we're going to talk about that game. They won a big game. They've lost some big games. They're not a great team, but they're not a bad team. And Kentucky needs to play well. They're very similar to a Louisville team. It's a very similar type of game, except for the rivalry aspect.
The funniest thing about this is the worst 3-game stretch that we'll have the rest of the year.
Oh, I just got done writing something on my website today about where we do now officially have the hardest strength of schedule remaining, number one. So, it ain't getting any easier.
But that's really good for us because that means you're going to be proven. You're going to go through the hardships of the SEC. The SEC this year may be the best basketball conference of all time. This might be the best basketball conference of all time. So that's really good for us because even if you lose 6 or 7 games in conference, they're all going to be quad 1 or 2. So you're not going to be punished very hard.
You're going to win some big games. You're going to lose some big games. And I'm telling you, if Kentucky can finish SEC play with 6 or 7 losses and you beat Brown and you beat Ohio State, you're going to be sitting with, 6, 7, or 8 losses in that range. And in this conference, knowing the games you played non-conference, if you would have told me that at the beginning of the year, if you'd have genie and touched the whatever crystal ball and said, you know what I mean? You're going to have 6, 7, or 8 losses at the end of the year. Would you take that right now? I'd say, 100%. No question. That'd be ideal.
Oh yeah. And I mean, like me and you said, remember what we were saying before we got into non-con play was we wanted to walk out with how many losses? We said 2 or 3.
Yeah. And you have a chance for it to be 1, a very good chance for it to be 1. I will take that all day.
That's a huge.
And a loss in a game where you hung around against a road team. It's not like you lost by 40 to a bad team. It was a close game.
And you had the chances to win that game.
Yes. We will take that all day long and twice on Sunday. So cool. All right. Well, on Thursday, we will break down the Ohio State game, talk about Ohio State, players in the team.
Aaron Bradshaw.
I don't know if he's playing or not.
He was playing. He was playing. He's back on the team.
He didn't play against Auburn?
He's back on the team. I don't know if he'll play.
Okay, well, we'll find out. Maybe he'll play against Valparaiso tonight, and then we'll see about us. But that'll obviously be part of the conversation. We'll see what happens there.
Mhm.
Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Appreciate y'all being here on us every single day, every show basis. Love y'all. And we will see you on Thursday right here on the Wildcats Today Podcast.